Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Tuesday, December the 4th, and welcome to our video commentary. Well, I'm sure you're seeing what's going on in France. I mean, it is madness. You have protests and automobiles in flames. I mean, it's just absolute madness what's happening there. I even saw a report today saying that this is the worst protesting they've seen since the 1960s. So this thing is pretty serious, very, very serious. And of course, like any serious thing, it has political implications. It all started because the Macron government wanted to do a tax increase on gasoline to, I guess, encourage people or encourage the economy to move from fossil fuels to alternative energies. The problem with all of this, it's a great idea in theory, but when you have to implement it, then you run into realities like people cannot afford gasoline. And in France, the opposition to this idea is primarily coming from the rural areas of the country where they have to use their cars, where they have to move either for pleasure or for business in their cars. And they're saying, no, we cannot afford this tax increase. We simply cannot afford it. Our pocketbooks cannot handle this. So it's become a real problem for Mr. Macron. Now, I understand that his government is backing down a little bit and in essence walking away from the tax increase. I've heard that. I'm not sure if that's 100% true, but that's what they're saying in some news reports. Either way, the idea was a horrible idea, but walking away from it also has serious implications for Macron because it basically shows that he's weak, that he can be defeated by protest and so on. So it's a no-win situation for Macron. If he continues with the taxes, he'll just be more unpopular. And now that if he backs away from it, then he looks awfully weak, and he's just going to see more and more protests about this or that. I think that but at least to me, what it shows me is how disconnected from reality Macron is. And the idea that nobody around him would have said, Mr. President, we really shouldn't do this. Maybe we can do it gradually over 10 years or something, increase it gradually. But to do it like this at one time was just political suicide. And that is what we're seeing in France. Macron is in a very difficult situation, and I don't see how he recovers from this. I mean, how do you recover from the approval ratings that he faces right now? It's just going to be very nasty. Now, I don't know how the French Constitution works, whether they have what they like to call a vote of confidence, or whether he has to serve the entire term. I suppose he could always resign. There's always that option. But I don't care what. It's not going to be a pretty situation for Macron anytime soon. But I think there's also probably a big lesson for some of the other leaders in the West, and that is that if you're going to increase taxes to support climate change or with the intention of moving away from fossil fuels to something else, if you're going to do that, you better do it gradually, because if you try to do it all at once, I don't think the public is going to put up with it. And that's what really amazes me about what I'm seeing in France, is that in France, President Macron looks to me like a man who is totally, completely disconnected from the reality of everyday life. And I think he's paying the price right now for either not understanding that this was going to be unpopular, but not understanding that this was going to be a burden on many, many French people who have to drive to go to work or have to drive to do business or whatever it may be. So very bad situation for Mr. Macron. Wouldn't be surprised if he resigns or they get him out of there somehow. But right now, he's not in a very good situation. Thank you for watching. We have all of these on YouTube. We have them on Twitter, and we have them on my blog. And if December 4th is your birthday, happy birthday. Bye-bye, everybody.